Good morning. First, I have to draw your attention to these beautiful flowers behind me. This past weekend, oh my gosh, we had the best dinner. We met a couple that we have so much in common with, and they brought us these beautiful flowers. So thank you, Angela and Bill. Angela has become a huge supporter of this show, and now I consider her and her husband awesome and very good friends. We just had the best evening ever, and I've been writing about it all over Facebook. It was just such a joy to be with two people that my husband and I both have things in common with, and we could have kept talking, I am sure, for 2 days in a row without the conversation lagging. So thank you, Angela and Bill, for a wonderful Saturday, and we're going to do it again really, really soon. So let's get to the show. Last week, I did a show about the smoking commercials, and we did have a lot of comments, and the show got shared many times. It was a very popular show, as most of my smoking shows are. They usually go pretty much viral. But there were some comments, and I feel I needed to address one comment, a couple comments in particular, and that was from someone who struggles with their weight and a very good friend of the show. And he put it on public comment, so I feel comfortable saying it's Sam, my good friend of the show, hoping to meet him at some point in person as well. I love meeting my viewers in person when I can. And Sam mentioned the fact that he has struggled with his weight most of his life, and that he didn't appreciate some of the comments I made about obesity. And one comment that I stand by from a personal standpoint. I made a comment that I would rather die a smoker than live as with obesity for myself. And I didn't mean that to be offensive to people who struggle with their weight, because I am one of you. It doesn't look like it, but I struggle with my weight. I can't eat anything I want in any quantity I want. I can eat anything I want in moderation, but I have to be careful. I have struggled, I have been very open about this, that I have struggled for over 20 years, from the age of 15 to the age of 32, with an eating disorder, with bulimia. It would go back and forth, bulimia, anorexia. I used laxatives. I used diet pills. I even took speed in high school. Black beauties and robin's eggs. So I know the struggle that people who are overweight have with their weight. My point of the show was, and what I always say when I do my smoking shows, is that all of a sudden, obesity, which is actually an illness, is all of a sudden being okay. You're not allowed to tell someone you care about who is overweight that you're worried about them and maybe they might want to lose a little weight so they don't get sick, they don't get the diabetes, they don't get the high blood pressure. But an obese person or an overweight person feels absolutely no problem telling a smoker, "Oh my God, you smoke? You need to stop the smoking. You need to quit. How can you smoke? You know what it does to you." Well, no, I don't know, because to be honest with you, knock on wood, smoking hasn't done anything to me. Okay? I'm a healthy person. I'm a healthy smoker. And I see people and hear people every day that say there is no such thing as a healthy smoker. And I disagree with that. I know a lot of people who smoke. And I know a lot of people who have died in their 80s who smoked a pack and a half of cigarettes a day, and they didn't die from a smoking illness. They just died because they were old. I know people who drink nonstop and have never gotten an illness from drinking. And yes, I know people who are overweight who are extremely healthy. That isn't what the show was about. The show was about the fact that we have kind of gone into this bizarre world where before Obamacare, before the affirmative care action, affirmative health care, obese people were discriminated against. My husband was considered obese by health insurance companies because they used a number. They didn't know anything about my husband. They didn't know his lifestyle. They didn't know how much he exercised. They took a number. They took his weight and his height and his age. They did the BMI, body mass index. And they said, Mr. Luciano, you're overweight. We're charging you more for your health insurance because you're a high risk to us. All insurance companies care about is their bottom line. We know that. They want you to buy insurance, but they don't ever want to have to pay your medical bills. That's their goal in this world. And before 2014, when the Affordable Care Act was made law, health insurance companies only insured people they felt would never have a health issue that they had to pay for. They discriminated against smokers, and they also discriminated against people who were overweight according to their body mass index. Okay, I didn't do it. I didn't write the law. I didn't write the bylaws for the insurance companies. I don't work for an insurance company. That was the way it was. But here's what the Affordable Care Act did, and also what it shouldn't have done. First of all, it said no more health questions. So a health insurance company can now not ask you what you weigh or how tall you are. But they still can ask you if you use tobacco, if you smoke cigarettes, legal product, right? They can't ask what you weigh and charge you more if you are at higher risk for diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart disease, some forms of cancer. Reproductive cancer is more prevalent in overweight women. I didn't write that. I'm sorry. It's true. But they can still ask about smoking and charge you more if you smoke legal cigarettes. And I find that unfair. I would have been happy as a clam if the Affordable Care Act would have also stopped health insurance companies from asking about tobacco use. Because when you weigh them both, they both, according to studies, cause debilitating illnesses. Now, I will say this. If you look at obesity, and let's remember defining obesity. It doesn't mean you got 20 pounds on you or you had a lot of kids and you still have your baby weight on you. It doesn't mean you're like 25, 30 pounds overweight. That's not being obese. I know a lot of people that I find very attractive and they're healthy and they're happy with their bodies and good for them and they always look amazingly gorgeous and cute and lovely and it's fine. They're not at risk for any diseases or issues because of their weight. When I say obese, I'm talking about people who are 60 pounds overweight, 70 pounds overweight, 100 pounds overweight. People who weigh 300 to 400 pounds, who we are now putting in bikinis on the cover of magazines. Almost like promoting it. Like obesity is a great thing. And yet no one's going to put political Paula, who lost 50 pounds and looks not so awful bad at 54 in a bikini. Well, 53 and a half. I look pretty good in a bikini. No one's going to put me on the cover of a magazine holding a cigarette and a glass of wine. No one's going to do that. That would be completely politically incorrect. That was the point of the show. This discrepancy that smokers are evil incarnate and anybody anywhere can attack a smoker. Oh my God, you smoke? Do you know what? Did you see? And we also now get the commercials, right? We have all the weight loss commercials out there, right? You've seen them. They come around usually around April, around or January after the holidays. Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Atkins, the South Beach diet, the diets where you can take a pill and eat anything you want and lose a lot of weight, the gym memberships that are on sale. But you don't get what the smokers get for our commercials, okay? You don't get the 400-pound person sitting in their apartment, laying in their bed, saying, my tip to you is if you don't lose weight now, you're not going to be able to leave your house. You're not going to be able to work. I used to be an ad executive, and then I gained all this weight. And now I'm on disability. I can't leave my house. I have to buy 2 tickets on an airplane because I need 2 seats. I can't go to a movie theater because I don't fit in the seats. You don't get those commercials. But every time I turn on my television, I get the person with no teeth, the person with half their face missing, the person with their shoulder missing. If you don't quit smoking, this will happen to you. Why? Why? I'm going to tell you a personal story I might get in trouble for later, except my husband doesn't watch the show, But I will tell you this personal story, and I'm going to tell you a personal story about myself as well. Maybe it will help you understand that I don't mean to offend anyone who struggles with their weight when I do shows like this. A few years ago, my husband started he's a non-smoker. Okay, first of all, I will say that. He quit smoking 12 years ago, 13 years ago, and he is happy. He quit cold turkey. But his weight climbed, and he was overweight. And he started having tingling pain in his feet. And he Googled it, and he knew what it was. It was diabetic nerve pain, and he was concerned. And he went to the doctor for a physical, and they did all the blood work. And boy, was he shocked, because he felt fairly good, except for this pain in his feet. His cholesterol was through the roof, okay? And he was pre-diabetic. That's where the pain was coming from in his feet. And the doctor said to him, you can lose weight, or we will put you on cholesterol medication, prescription, and diabetic medication. And my husband, like me, we don't do prescription meds in this house. We avoid them. So my husband immediately started to watch his weight, and he lost 40 pounds. I am so proud of him. Not only does he look great, but guess what? He no longer has the high cholesterol, and his feet pain, the foot pain, gone. He is no longer pre-diabetic. So that little tingling in those feet saved his life. And he had no smoking issues. The only thing that was causing his issues was his weight. And he did something about it. No one ever came up to my husband and said, maybe you should drop some pounds. But the doctor did. And when faced with a lifetime on prescription meds, and possibly even insulin for diabetes, my husband said, if I cannot do that, I will cut back on the food. And he lost the weight. Okay? My personal story, why I am so terrified of becoming obese is, first of all, my mom, who in 2004 was killed, and now thanks to our new friends, I actually understand more, and I feel more at peace, and I will talk about that in a later show. But I now know why my mother died, I believe. I really believe that what I was told makes sense. Nobody has ever paid for my mother's death. And you know why? Because she was obese. She was obese. She struggled with her weight her whole life. Now, I did tell you before, I've always been open about this, that I suffered from bulimia. which meant that I binged and purged. Now, think about this. The fun part of bulimia is the binging, which means you stuff food into your mouth until your stomach is out to here and then you throw up. That's the not so fun part, but it's necessary to keep your weight down. Excuse me. I was bulimic until I met my husband 21 years ago. Now, when I moved in with my husband, I couldn't be bulimic anymore. So therefore, because I had never learned proper portion control, I would overeat, but I couldn't throw up. And so I put on about 50 pounds after I met my husband. And after my mother died because of the stress, I put on weight. Because I didn't know what a healthy portion was. So my stomach still wanted the bulimia food, the binging part. But I could no longer do the purging part. But with the support and love of my husband, he said, I don't care if you gain some weight. I love you no matter what. Well, of course, that kind of fed, okay, I can eat whatever I want. He doesn't care if I gain weight. But then when my mother died and they cut off any lawsuit I could have had by putting as her cause of death complications due to her obesity and the fact that she smoked 10 cigarettes a day, which, believe me, that one I ignored because she never even inhaled. But they blamed my mother's weight on her death when a doctor made a mistake. They tied off the wrong thing when they did her hernia surgery. So that scared me. And then I had some health scares. I had a bad pap smear, which turned out to be a lab error. But I do know for a fact that women who are overweight have more of a chance of having reproductive issues. And then, excuse me, I had a bad mammogram. Now, I know big breasts don't mean you're going to get cancer. But all of this started making me very uncomfortable in my own body. Not to mention the fact as a child being overweight, I was tortured by my classmates. So I lost 50 pounds as well. And what happened is my stomach shrunk, and now I can eat anything I want in moderation. So I have smaller portions, but I still enjoy all the foods that I crave and that I love. So the reason why obesity scares me so much and why I do think that it shouldn't be so anathema to go to an obese person and say, I'm concerned for you. I think you should probably maybe think about dropping some weight, and if you need any help, I can tell you how I did it. Or be your like buddy, and if you want to talk, I'll be here for you. I don't mean to insult anybody who struggles with their weight, because once again, I am you. This is not the way I was born or the way I grew up. People who see pictures of me from 10 years ago don't recognize me. I looked a lot different. I wasn't born this weight. I wasn't born with this body type. I created this body type through hard work and discipline and exercise. So I get it. I get that it's hard. But what I disagree with vehemently is this attitude now because of some of these famous people who go on TV and say that weighing 300 pounds is normal. They love their bodies, and now they get to be on covers of magazines, and smokers are still being treated like no-class citizens. There are people that are evangelical that would rather their children be gay than smoke cigarettes. Now, don't even start. You know I support gay rights. But I'm just saying, that's how evil smokers are to many in our society. And let me talk one more time about these commercials, because these commercials drive me crazy. The statistics say 14% of American citizens smoke cigarettes. And then the statistics say 80% of Americans are overweight or obese. And yet the 14% are the ones that are getting inundated with the commercials. take a video of yourself before all this happens and you see a monster on your television screen scaring the hell out of the children watching. This will happen to you if you don't quit smoking. 14%, this is who they're talking to. But nobody is doing commercials for the 80% who are at risk for high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, high cholesterol. Yes, you can get those things if you're skinny. If you are a normal weight, you can get all these diseases. Just like you can get lung cancer and COPD and high blood pressure and heart disease if you're a non-smoker. And that right there was the point and the message I wanted to deliver on last week's show. And if I did it wrong, I apologize. And if I offended any of my viewers who struggle with their weight, who saw me as someone who was criticizing them in any way, I sincerely apologize to you because I didn't mean that. I was trying to show this societal view where it's okay to trash a smoker. And I mean trash them. I mean call security because someone's smoking a cigarette on the beach in front of your children. I mean, seriously? But you're not allowed to go up to someone and say, you know, I've noticed you've gained some weight and you're out of breath a little bit. I'm really concerned for you. I don't want you to end up with diabetes or heart disease. I care about you. That gets you a slap in the face or an unfriend or a delete. And I don't understand why. Why it's okay to have someone come to me and say, I care so much about you, your smoking really worries me, I don't want you to get sick. But I can't say to somebody, your weight concerns me because I care about you. I hope this sets the record straight. I never meant to offend anybody. I never do, really. Again, I know what a weight struggle is about. I do. And I know that for me personally, as is my First Amendment right, I worry more about myself, for me, being overweight because I'm just not comfortable when I have extra weight on me. That's me. I'm not trying to tell anybody else out there what to do, what you should weigh. I'm not telling anyone you should look like me or do what I do. Just like I don't tell anybody to start smoking. I said I am not a commercial for cigarette smoke or smoking. I am trying to make you all think, why all of a sudden has obesity become politically correct and smoking is evil incarnate? That's it for me. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Political Paula is out.